Hello, 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 and welcome, my Leo collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign. Welcome to your work, career, and vocation read for February and March 2020. I'm your reader, Angelo, Lyons, Mal for short, professional witch, professional intuitive, president of DrawingTheCircle Productions, Leo rising that I am, Mars conjunct, the Archangel of Lions, Angelo Lyons, but you can call me Mal. Meow. Hi. Hey, my Leonines. Oh, my Leos, I know. The many lives and loves of a Leo rising. Thankfully, we are doing a work, career, and vocation read for a change, which I'm doing these for my own sanity. How many true love, soulmate, soul contract readings can you really do in one lifetime? Apparently a crap ton if you're a YouTuber. So, hi. So, let's get down to business. This is a 3-level of power read, 9 cards, 3 decks, 3 cards each. 3 times 3 is 9. See, I've even got multiplication down under my belt. I just don't look good. I can actually make it work. You know what I mean, Leos, my Leos, my Lees, my Lees. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to direct you quickly to a link in the description box, a video that you can find on YouTube, 3 Levels of Power, a lecture by Myss. We're using the Myss Archetype deck. It was revolutionary for me at the time. I actually heard her do, maybe even that lecture, but I got an audiobook way back when iPod was new, right? Listening to lectures from her, and it really changed my life. Looking at the 3 levels of power like a lens, seeing different aspects of your life, work, career, vocation being one of them. 3 levels of power, like the strength in eau de toilette cologne perfume. Perfume is the full power. It's diluted with alcohol for cologne, water with eau de toilette. Eau de toilette, it's French for water, right? Toilet water, essentially, from, oh my god, she gave me toilet water. But that being said, work, career, vocation, I'll explain that as I go, as we get into it. Oh, but some quick business, because I have it here. I am doing tarot parties on my DrawingTheCircle Productions Facebook page. Paid Zoom events. I paid for the monthly thing for Zoom Pro. We're doing 10 people per party, myself not included, obviously. And I read everybody. We had our first one this past week on Monday. It was great, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And we had a field day. And so I'll be doing them on Monday nights, Eastern, 7:30. And if we need more, I can make more. It's not that hard to do. So check it out. And also my Kindle book, Words of Grace, is coming out in Kindle. It's a long story. I won't go into it here. Maybe I'll do a video on it a little, just to give you guys some background. But my Kindle editor and I were in the home stretch. We're looking at the Virgo full moon in February to launch that around that time. Yeah, so work, career, vocation. I've been doing these readings for myself and clients for decades, right? So I think you'll like it. It is a general reading. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Both feet on the floor. If you can, my Leos, right? Pause down for a change. Keys, stay grounded. Focus on your breath. I will do the same. All the decks that I read are always in the bottom of the description box, as well as there are a lot of cool links on the way down. I am a spiritual teacher. I can't help that. That's my career. My work is a corporate president, and that's not how I make my money. That's how I set everything up to then make my money in my career. Teacher, healer, reader, that kind of stuff, and certainly artist with all this YouTube stuff. It is my passion. I love it. I get dressed and do the lighting every day, right? But my vocation is as a mystic. That's what really brings me the inspiration to my intimate connection with the divine that allows me to bring through these readings with clarity, guidance, and grace, blah, blah, blah. Oh, let's just do it. Ready? Feet on the floor, neck roll, shoulder shrug. Here we go. Let's get down to work, career, vocation. Nice deep breath. It's a lot of explanation, man. It's a lot of prologue. I'm overlogged with prologue. Here we go. There we go. My collective pantheons of angels, archangels, goddesses, gods, the ascended masters of life path, work, career, vocation, and the higher selves of all involved for the Leo collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign watching this video, receiving this reading. Please, I need 3 cards to show us the soul powers, the 8th chakra aspect of their work, career, and vocation, their visionary intuition part of it, right? Like, what's going on the soul? Like, what soul powers are being developed in their work, career, vocation, February, March 2021. I mean, very well maybe in this one, Leo rising. So, work, career, vocation. What's going on in their work? What's the dominant archetype going on I feel you, but no, just one. I can feel where they are in the deck. If it's one of those two, just leave it in my hands. Probably not, though. Leo for no, that's 2 cards. See, now that is not a mistake. That is what you call a synchronicity. That's saying that there's probably some indecision here about work going on here. So please, my collective pantheons, for Leo, lower 3 chakras, survival, how they pay their bills, put food on the table, right? Survival intuition, physical power, literal world. What's the dominant chakra, the dominant archetype being developed there? In their career, heart, throat, third eye and crown, personal world, emotional power, mental power, power of choice, spiritual power in the sense of receiving inspiration and what they do with it. For their career, February, March 2021, and for that 8th chakra, that calling. What is their spiritual calling, their vocation, their true spiritual power, the voice of the higher self kind of stuff, the satellite point of view, visionary intuition. February, March 2021. I do 2 months because this stuff takes time, right? It's not like relationships. You can have one conversation and change everything. I guess that's true in business as well. Oh, these are lovely. These are really lovely. And actually, I have all 3 of these archetypes in my chart. Sacred Contracts is a brilliant, life-changing book by Carolyn Myss. That's all I'm going to say right now. Work, career, vocation. You've got in your work position here the teacher archetype, wisdom, family archetype, the servant in your career, healing, family archetype, and in your vocation, companion, also healing, family archetype. So I find this a really, really lovely flow. Now, of course, all archetypes in their shadow are toxic. All archetypes in their light are healing and healthy. So it doesn't matter what it sounds like when you first hear it, right? Teacher, yeah, but, you know, how are you going to eat your pudding when you haven't eaten? How are you going to get your pudding if you haven't eaten your meat, right? We don't need no education. We don't need no thought control. You know, that song came out when I was still in grade school, and it made its way into my nervous system. That's why I'm a horrible student, but a brilliant teacher. I have the teacher archetype. Let's read this. The shadow attribute, manipulating or abusing students. Much. I had so many spiritual teachers like that along the way, which is now why all my spiritual teachers are long distance. Thank you very much. Don't work for your heroes. It's always, don't meet your heroes. It's just always a letdown. Teaching negative traits and destructive skills. It's certainly out there, and you know the internet itself is like that too, if you think about it. But the light attribute, ability to communicate knowledge, experience, skill, or wisdom, and catch that creativity, right? So you're alchemizing your ability to take what you have learned. It's a wisdom family archetype, right? How to communicate that skill. Now, you do not need a chalkboard, or pen board, I should say, to be a teacher, nor do you actually need a classroom. Sometimes people just do it naturally, and that might be the case here. You might very much be a natural instructor. The word facilitator I like. It's from the French, facile, simple. People who make things simpler for you, right? So if you're ever dealing with, I don't know, an event facilitator or this facilitator, and they're making it harder, tell them they're doing it wrong. Facile means do. Angelo, Lyons, mouth for short, said so. So I like this. Very practical too, probably in the first 3 chakras, the first level of power. So this is something that's really on the ground that you can do, and it's a brilliant power to have. Just watch the shadow on that. In your career, you've got the servant. Now, I'm a Virgo, so we're just the servants of the zodiac to begin with. But as a healing family of archetype, the shadow on this is one I hear all the time from all different signs, right? Using the lack of money as an excuse not to move forward with life. That's the indentured servant. They're paying off a debt, and sometimes that debt can be emotional, right? Maybe it's not always about financial. If it's out of guilt, right? Chained to something out of fear. So that servant, it's almost got like that devil card, kind of like the chains, right? But the light attribute, delight in serving others with a free and loving heart. And since we're talking heart, throat, third eye, crown, energetic coordinates here, chakra touch points for your career, your passion, there is a passion here, a delight at least in serving others, but really keep an eye on that inability to move on, blaming it on money, right? Using lack of money as an excuse. Now, excuse is not the same as reason or purpose, right? An excuse is something usually come up with the mind to try and connect dots. Often we don't have all the information there. So my sense on that is to really, really look inside yourself. What's left of February and all of March, of really addressing of, not that you need to change it right this red hot second, but just be aware of, where am I using money as an excuse for not moving on in my life? Because if this is in terms of your career, your delight of serving others is what's at the heart of this and at stake. Ooh, stake, heart, vampire. Card's not on the table. There is a vampire archetype in this deck. It's not here. Just being very symbolic, because that's what I do for a living, apparently. Your 8th chakra, your vocation, I have the companion archetype. Sometimes it shows itself as the sidekick, which is kind of fun, maybe. Nightwing. Shadow attribute, betrayal by misusing confidences. Now, that doesn't always mean betraying the confidences, something said in confidence, but it's like somebody tells you something in confidence and then you secretly use it against them. Right? It's like you get, it's like, ha ha ha, they've given you ammunition, in other words. Loss of personal identity, which does happen. I mean, that's really the foundation of codependence on a level. Not all codependence is that. But who am I without you? Right? Particularly you see that in corporate situations when someone has a title. Right? When they are entitled, isn't that just what that word talks about, right? Ooh, you think you're special. Well, but who are they when they lose that job? Now put that in a relational context, but it's the healing family of archetype. This could be about you companioning with the divine itself, companioning with your soul. If you want a soulmate, mate your own soul, right? Allow your personality to be seduced and loved and taught and healed in the companion relationship. There is such a thing called a soul companion, which I would say is in the soul contract range of soulmate rather than twin flame. There are links in the description box somewhere. The MatCon videos and all of that, I've got to start putting those out for Valentine's Day. Just kind of get people like, look, here's some info you might want to mix into your sugar and regret or passion. I'm sure it goes both ways. But the light attribute here for this companion archetype, loyalty, tenacity, and unselfishness. And that is definitely a spiritual power, particularly for a healing family archetype. Okay. Those 3 are on the table. We are moving over to the Daughters of the Moon Tarot to see what this is like for you in your work, career, vocation. Heart, third eye crown. What's your internal experience of this? So it's a very holographic spread for only 9 cards, right? That you're getting these 3 levels of power with the 3 levels of power within them, because the mythic tarot we will do after these to see what this looks like in the physical world, right? The lower 3 chakras, root, sacrum, solar plexus. But for now, please take a nice deep breath. And this feels lovely. I have to say, I love these archetypes. I'm familiar with all 3 of them. I'm not saying this is totally personal yet, but let's see. My goddesses of fire and the sign of Leo. Please, 3 cards to clarify what is the interior experience, the personal experience for this Leo collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign watching this video, receiving this reading in their work, career, vocation. We'll do 3 cards face down, please. We'll take that one for the teacher and their work. Did not see what it was. I don't like seeing what it is until I flip them over. For that servant in their career, please. There's that one. That one popped out pretty easily. And for the companion in their 8th chakra, going on their vocation. Lovely. Let's see. Boom, ooh, boom, boom, boom. Okay, 2 major arcana cards. Both traveling in the same direction, too. I'll look at that later. For this teacher archetype, you've got the coyote woman, the trickster, half of the devil card. This is a feminist deck, so it doesn't do the devil as the patriarchal imagery that you're used to seeing it in, right? No. This is half of that card, which is the trickster, that sometimes we have to be stealthy. Sometimes we need to be covert. or at least feeling that. It can also be that there's a trick being played, but, you know, not that, I always say that, like, not that Seven of Swords kind of like deception stealth. This is definitely feels like your career is a little dicey right now if you are a teacher, and I understand why. I am a teacher, but if you are actually a teacher, and I'm actually a teacher, literally a teacher, like schoolroom, and I'm so glad I don't have kids, right? I'm glad I don't have kids for lots of reasons, but just homeschooling on screens all day long, oh, you know, I'd grow my hair long, braid it, and hang myself with it. It would take a while. Have a chocodile. The teacher, you are being taught something, no question. Major Arcana card. There's so... This is totally about trying to like get over or get under unseen in a certain sense. It's like there are things you have to navigate that are tricky. But the trickster archetype, there's a god of every pantheon that's a trickster. Even in the Ascended Masters, Saint Germain, the trickster. It's coyote medicine, right? Sometimes you need to be tricked into getting to where you need to go. And I will also say there's something tricky about this. Now remember, you can be a teacher without literally being a teacher in that way, but there's something about that archetype in play for you physically where inside, you know, just the quantum threads go that way empathically, trying to feel how many ways you could feel about this. But I'm going to say with this in your career, they say those who can't, comma, teach. Now, I agree to an extent with that because I've had some pretty toxic teachers who couldn't. They could teach, but boy, they're angered that they couldn't do what they teach, right? But if you're teaching by example here, right, that's different. That's really taking this, it's like, I'll show you, but I'm not going to say word. Maybe you do, right? Because here, you got the Six of Cups here in your career, and that's what says there's a bit more of an emotional balance here, a bit more of a compassionate give and take. So I don't feel like this is necessarily... the word, it's not just covert, like shadow acts going on. Yes, there are things in the shadow here. Maybe there is some embracing in the shadow, and in this card the coyote does cast a shadow here, so I would certainly keep an eye on the shadow aspect of this, manipulating and abusing students, teaching negative traits and destructive skills. It could also be that you are in training, which is another word for teaching in a way, and in it, maybe dealing with an abusive shadow teacher archetype, and you are learning something about your own ability to teach and demonstrate. That is probably very much the case, right? Probably dealing with your own shadow. Look, every teacher that I ever hated, and believe me, the word hate was applicable in some cases, they were really toxic. They were abusive. I don't do that. Like, I've had my moments. We all have our bad days, as no matter what we do. But if there is really a shadow teacher in your physical presence, the third set of cards will show what this looks like on the outside. But this says to me already, be very, very careful. But you're learning a very important lesson here that you will then teach by example. And I feel like this is about compassion, right? The servant that... regardless of what the financial situation here, obviously physically there's something going on in the survival aspect of work, right? But here in the heart, throat, third eye, crown, there is that Six of Cups. Now, Six of Cups, oh, someone from the past, maybe, but in your career, it might certainly be feeling compassionate towards yourself and others about what you had to go through in terms of dealing with a toxic teacher archetype. So that you get that. Now, you put the teacher and the servant together. In other words, the servant being the heart, throat, third eye, and crown energy behind a teacher, root, sacrum, solar plexus, and you put that in a compassion and balance. That's lovely. But I can also say, maybe you're feeling the situation you are in is toxic, and how could it not be if you're an actual literal physical teacher in a schoolroom with kids? I'm just going to leave that there. But that's what I mean. Like, it's something like that. That's not going to be for everybody watching this video. Which is very interesting. I mean, I'm a teacher, and yes, of course there's tricky for me going on all the time because I can't be within 6 feet of somebody to teach them face to face, right? Not without a full panel of tests, right? You know how it is. But then here's what's really lovely. In the companion, like I said, you got 2 major arcana cards. In your crown chakra, you've got strength, you've got courage, you've got the ability to not tame that inner beast to the point where it's docile, no, but to walk side by side with it, guiding each other. The grace of fortitude. It's very heart chakra, but that could be your experience of this companion. Now, I'm just wondering if there's another person involved here in the physical world that is a teacher, as are you, I would think, or maybe they are dealing with a toxic situation. Maybe this is a teacher-student thing going on, but there's a companion archetype at play here as well. Let's see what this looks like in the physical, because the energy's there. And I mean, it's really the only card that gives me pause, the Lion, P-A-W-S, P-A-U-S-E, is that trickster, because it's the trickster. So let's see what this looks like on the outside. Lower 3 chakras. Please take a nice deep breath. Okay, here we go. My gods of fire and the sign of Leo. Please, 1 card in clarity. For this Leo collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign in their work, career, vocation. What does this look like physically? They've got the teacher soul archetype in play with the coyote in the inner world. They've got the servant in their career, heart, third eye, crown, but with the 6 of cups. And that feels lovely. That feels balanced. That feels like, I don't feel like they're holding themselves back because using money as an excuse. I feel like this is about that delight to serve. I mean, look at the card. It's 5 women, 1 laying at the beach, right? They're laying hands, they're praying, and I don't know if you could see, but the waves are bringing in those other cups, and they're all like faces, like the naiads. Like the naiads. I'm listening to Circe by Madeline Miller for the 3rd time on audio, so kind of really feeling that card right now. And in my gods, their companion archetype in the 8th chakra, there's something divine there, and it's something encouraging with that card of strength. It's spiritual strength that they have here, and with the coyote, and as I said when I first laid these down, they're both traveling in the same direction. Right? The lion and the coyote. They're traveling in the same direction. So please, what does this look like? Yes, and if we look at that as the timeline of the future, past, present, future, they are moving in that direction. So please, what does this look like? Root, sacrum, solar plexus. From the outside looking in, perhaps how they appear or something that's going on in the physical world. February, March 2021. The teacher with the coyote. The servant with compassion, that sounds lovely, and the companion with strength. That's a really interesting almost phrase. Granted, the teacher with the coyote sounds like the teacher and the coyote. A teacher and a coyote walked into a bar, and we are just major arcana galore here. Now, I will say that weird feeling that I got is right on. You got the 5 of swords here. There is something tricky. There are arguments in the air. There's a lot of information, and a lot of minds have to change. Now, that is the foundation of education, right? If you're not... Education actually means to draw out of, not to put back into, but that's an etymological discussion for another day. Entomological is bugs. Etymological is words. So yeah, there on the outside there's debate. There's going back and forth. If you are a literal teacher, you know exactly what this is, right? I'm not going back. Vaccine, right? I'm trying to watch my language on here, not the foul words, the words that they flag and then scan and check to make sure you're not. Whatever, you know what I'm talking about, but it is very that. It's like what you can say, what you can't say. There's something tricky. You may have to go a little stealth on this, or feeling like you have to, and as well as feeling like something's not right here. Something is not as it appears to be, which is really often what the trick is. But major arcana, you're being led somewhere. I mean, the coyote really ultimately, I mean, aside from Wile E. Coyote, where did he get that credit card for all that Acme materials, just want to say. But this next card will actually probably explain this. You got the Hermit card. I think this is from the outside looking in. Now, the Hermit is the Virgo card, and servants. Virgo is the servants of the archetype. I would recommend check out the Virgo read. I'm actually doing it next. So look, this compassion, this balance inside of you is there. I could understand your challenge here with being a teacher, right? In these times that we are in, your heart is there. I don't feel like you want to serve out of this delight, but right now, the Virgo card, you're pulling back and pulling up to see things from a higher perspective, getting clear on you, taking care of you, and bringing yourself into emotional balance. Six of Cups is lovely. Now, is that about the past? Maybe. How things used to be? Maybe. But nothing is as it used to be. And it's never going to go back to the way it was. That's like saying, well, let's just forget the Industrial Revolution happened. No. Inflection points changes everything. And we've been having an inflection point once a month for about a year now. It used to be 100 years to go by, right? Now we're getting them on the daily. It's like information doubling. Yeah, Google that, information doubling. That'll blow your mind. How fast information is doubling on the planet, and there's no human way to keep up with. Technologically, we're doing our best. Everything has changed. Pull back, see that. Make sure you are serving yourself in the deal. As a Virgo, I have to. What do you think? I just pop out of bed looking like this? No, in order for me to do, my goal is to do 4 readings a day. And I haven't had a day off in a really long time. So how am I doing this? It's like I'm learning how to do that. But actually, I'm an autodidact. I'm a horrible student, but I'm self-taught. I teach myself. I'm a really good teacher. So here, this is, I think, going to really clinch it for you, at least give you a lovely, lovely chunk of the puzzle here. You've got the companion archetype, a lovely healing archetype, right, with the courage, the strength, and crossed with the Hierophant. Now, the marriage card, commitment, but also curriculum. Nobody becomes a Hierophant day one. No one's born Hierophant. It's usually not a title that's passed down genetically, right? Like kings and queens and bloodlines and all of that. No, you have to go through the training. You start as a novice, right? Even in covens, the coven I started and I'm no longer a part of. Dedicant, first degree, second degree, third degree. But third degree is, but then there's elder. I was an elder in that. I retired. I couldn't do the fucking politics anymore. It's not what you said, the time you said it. I'm like, you just don't want to hear the truth. I'm a teacher, right? So I understand. This is the card of the High Priest, really, if you want to call it anything. We got the High Priestess. Let's call him the High Priest. But this is Chiron, the wounded centaur, Kentor, the healer. I mean, this is very, very healing. So there has to be at least one-on-one relationship involved here, unless this is really about your companionship with the divine. If you are a high priest, high priestess, high, I don't know how high degree you want to be, but they keep adding degrees to things. There used to be 3 degrees. In my day, we only had 3 degrees in Reiki, right? Now it's all these different variations, which is fine, It's a healing art. It should have interpretation, in my opinion. But there is something degreed and leveled here. So you probably, this is kind of either you're working with somebody like that and you have a one-on-one relationship, a companionship with somebody like that, or it could be much more that this is you. I mean, 2 major arcana cards with the companion underneath it, strength and Hierophant. And this has been consistent in these reads this time around. It seems like not all the power, but the place to leverage your work, career, vocation is in your vocation, which would make sense in a way. Get right with your spirit, right? Get in alignment with your soul. But there is something, look, he's even holding like a document, right? Like a diploma saying, I have now again, the word, I have my title, which is political, which is where the word entitlement comes from. Right? It's a tricky thing. It's almost like the caste system in that way, the class as well as the caste system, right? But there is something higher vibrational here. This is your spiritual power, no question asked. But there is also a thing of the wounded healer being that card, right? And not in every tarot, but it's Chiron. I mean, there's a planet Chiron, which is about your wounds usually, right? That the wounded healer archetype there, with the healer's archetype in the 8th chakra, with the card of strength, you have the spiritual goods to do this. You have the heart to do it, and you have the will to serve. You want the delight to serve. You're getting, and it does make sense, that card of strength. You got the 6 of Cups in your emotional field here, in whatever your career may be. But just remember, so many artists do other things to pay the bills so that they can be artists. It's the way it's been for a very, very long time. Not everybody makes money out of day one, but here again, you've got this Hermit. So maybe keeping to yourself doesn't mean you're not active in the world necessarily to the extent you can be, but really kind of playing your cards close to your chest, observing from a distance, and really looking at within yourself as well, and not just in, up, right, with that companion archetype. That could mean so many different things in a general read, but how this ends up, or at least in the physical aspect of it, you have to be stealthy right now. You just have to be. There's too much in the air, perhaps too much confusion, mental conflict, conversations, policies. And I know some of you must be teachers in like grade school, middle school, whatever they call that now. They keep changing things. I don't know. Can someone text me this shit so that I know? I'm just so glad they finally put a plus after LGBTQ. I'm like, I can't remember all those letters and you keep changing them. Plus, I'm so happy because I want to acknowledge everybody's everything, you know? The soul is welcoming, acknowledging, and respectful. So working on that. No, that's the ego. Worries, anticipates, and regrets. The soul respects, acknowledges, and welcomes. Matt Kahn. I forgot which book was one of them. Comment below if you remember, because I don't. So let me put this together for you. If you are a literal physical teacher in the world, this makes complete sense, right? Really, this is about leveraging it with your spiritual power for sure. So, may the Leo Collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs be blessed with all that they need. Oh, that's totally me on the table there. Got it. Thank you. Blessed all with all that we need in our work, career, and vocation, February and March 2020, that we may use the healing powers that we are developing within ourselves with the companion and the service and the servant in our vocation and career, so that we may teach and do it in ways that perhaps are amidst stormy weather. There might be changes and hurricanes going on, so to speak, in the outside world, a lot of talking, a lot of confusion, so that we do what we gotta do to get done what has to be done, teaching by example, perhaps covertly for now, for our well-being and for the well-being of all. So would it be. And so it is. There's the reading. If you like it, like it. You want more, subscribe. You want to comment, please do. It's your work, career, vocation. What are the chances your bosses are going to see it? Probably really good at this stage, but who knows, who cares? But certainly wishing you all the very, very best and the very, very blessed. And if you want a tarot party with me, Drawing the Circle Productions Facebook page. Somehow you can take the event without being on Facebook. I don't know how they do that, but there's actually a link on my community page if you want to check that out. And Words of Grace is coming out. We're in the last 9 yards of this one. Woo, my first Kindle. The boy always remembers his first and his last, hopefully. Wishing you all the very best and the very blessed of your work, career, vocation. February, March 2021, my darling Leos, my pride. Hail. Goes before the fall. Farewell, and blessed, blessed be.